Hey guys, so it's an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Senna complete guide. And now, as I have promised, I will be doing a complete guide on every single ADC, at least every single like true marksman ADC. Now, the other like AP carries like Ziggs, Orianna, etc. are a different story altogether. We will be working on that in the future, but we don't have a timeline for that. But when it comes to the ADCs, Senna, who we're covering today, is the last one, and arguably she is a support, but obviously she is a marksman type champion, so I'm definitely going to cover her as usual. Now, I'm not an expert at Senna. I have played her quite a bit, and I do love playing her, just that I feel like the best way to play Senna is fasting Senna, and I don't always have a support who generally benefits from farm, which is one of the problems with ADC Senna, and support Senna is another different story. So we're just going to quickly talk about that, how you can play Senna. So the first way obviously is you play Senna as support with an ADC, but I don't really like playing Senna as support. Now the whole reason for that is that you basically have two marksmen in your bot lane, and let's say you have, let's say, a Senna and a Jinx, for example, a Senna and a Kai'Sa. It doesn't really matter. In the early game, you're going to be super duper weak. What are you going to do if like a Lee Sin comes in and ganks you and the enemy is like a Caitlyn and a Thresh, for example? You're going to get destroyed. So I don't really like playing Senna as a support just because you have a double marksman bot lane. So I like playing Senna as ADC. So Senna can basically play with two types of supports. So she can either play with tanky supports who do well with farm supports like Galio or Gragas, for example. Like with farm, they can build either tank or AP. The other type you can play with are AP supports like Lux and Seraphine. And when you let them take the farm, generally they'll build AP instead of support because they can benefit more from the AP items in terms of damage. And since they are getting farm anyway, it's kind of like they're in a solo lane themselves and they can get the farm. So of course, when you do that, you're fasting, which basically means although you're playing Senna as ADC, they will be taking all the last hits on the minions. They will be taking all the CS. Because obviously when it comes to Senna, there is really no point in taking the last hits. The last way you can play Senna, the third way, is ADC Senna, true ADC Senna, where you actually take all the last hits. But I think that is a pretty bad playstyle because you won't get souls. And Senna really scales with souls, not exactly with gold and items. So I don't think that is a very intelligent idea. But without further ado, let's jump into the practice tool. Sorry, not that button. Just jump into the practice tool and let's cover her skills and leveling order. Alright, so for her skills, it's pretty straightforward. At level 1, depending on your matchup, you either will take Q or W level 1. Sometimes you can cheese with W level 1 and get like an early first blood or something like that. But generally, you'll take Q level 1 in general. Then you go for W at level 2. And now, honestly, your E has no combat advantage. So sometimes at level 3, you will actually take a second point in Q. And sometimes you'll just take E just to get all your spells. It depends on the situation, but generally I like to take a second point in Q, then E. Especially if I'm already in a fight or my lane is heavy trading. So afterwards, you of course want to take your ult at level 5. You max your Q first, and then you move on to max W. And you max your ult whenever, of course, whenever it's available. So of course you max your E last. And yeah, so we're gonna head over to our usual spot at the river.
Small talk wasn't really part of my training.
Over here. And yeah, so we're gonna put down our enemy dummy. And then we're gonna discuss her passive. So her passive is the soul. So as you guys can see, I missed picking up the soul there. But basically when minions die and you don't... Actually, if you last hit the minions, I believe the chance you'll get a soul is 3%. And if you don't, the chances are high. So here, as you guys can see, there are two souls. Here you can target the souls to collect them. Like that. So if you don't last hit the minions, whether they die to tower, they die to your own minions, or they die to your allies, the chance of a soul dropping is a lot higher. Here is a really good example of that. Cannon minions here, they actually give 100% chance of soul if you don't last hit. So here, when that cannon minion dies, you will get a soul. So the other way of getting souls is by attacking enemies. So your alt, your W, and your Q will all cause enemies to have a sort of mist coming out of them, as well as your auto attack. So here, I attack them. Can you see we have that like hands coming out of them? That's like the mist thing that I'm referring to coming out of them for the next like 4 seconds. So dealing damage to them in any way will trigger that and give you a soul, and also deal a percentage of their current HP. So here, if I auto attack them once, auto attack them twice, there I get a soul, as you can see, and I also trigger the damage, so they will take 2% of their current HP. So now we're gonna move on to what her abilities I should say does. So we're first gonna have to put down an ally dummy over here. So her Q, first of all, has to be targeted onto something. It can be anything. So here, as you can see, I have no targets around me. I cannot use my Q. So you can use your Q onto plants. You can use your Q onto wards, onto monsters, onto allies, and onto enemies, of course. So basically, you need to have a target. You cannot target nothing. So I can't fire my Q randomly in this direction. The only thing in my range I can fire at is this guy. So as you can see, a lot like the Lucian Q, the first area of your Q is where you can target where the target has to be in range. The second part is where it'll strike through. So here, I'm gonna strike through this ally to hit this enemy, like that. So it pierces through everybody. There's no damage reduction for multiple targets hit. So what it does is it heals your allies like that. And it also deals damage to enemies, of course, and of course it triggers your passive, which puts on the mist, like that. Simple as that. It's sort of your bread and butter ability. You'll be generally spamming that as much as possible in general. So one thing I didn't actually point out is that her attack speed is incredibly low. So she has like the lowest attack speed out of all the ADCs. Really slow attack speed. So yeah. So your W is a skill shot. So you have to launch it and aim. What it does is, when it attaches to an enemy, you of course can use it on monsters as well. So when it attaches to an enemy, after a short delay, it will root everybody in that circular area. So of course I'm going to demonstrate that. We are going to actually put down a couple more target dummies. This of course does have the potential to root an entire enemy team. So here we're going to hit that guy, boom, all of the enemies are rooted. I believe that guy is rooted as well. Yeah, he is rooted as well. So everybody is going to get rooted. Now, there is sort of a hack to trigger and surprise the enemy. So when a minion is about to die around an enemy, you can actually launch it right at the minion and it triggers instantly. So, okay, I kind of mistimed that. But here, boom, when the minion dies, okay, I actually didn't hit the minion. I failed that again, but let's wait for the next minion wave to come in. Then I can show you guys exactly what I mean. Let's remove this guy. Alright, so we're going to put down another dummy. Actually, we put him too far away. We're going to put down another dummy. So, I hit the first dummy. I'm pretty bad at this. So don't know if I'm in range here, but boom, as you guys can see there, it instantly triggers. I didn't manage to hit the target dummy, but you guys get the picture of exactly what I'm trying to say, which is that when you use it on a low health minion, I'm going to just demonstrate it on this minion. So here I'm going to get this minion low, and when it's 1 HP, when I launch at it, of course it dies before I launch it. So here I'm going to use it on this minion. When I launch at it, boom, it instantly triggers. So this is what I was trying to say. Took me quite a long time to actually show it off, but yeah, so it's going to instantly trigger. So now we're going to have to put down our dummy again, our allied dummy as well. And yeah, so next is your E. So your E, basically, you just press it. And basically, you become untargetable, unselectable, I should say, and your allies as well. So there you guys can see it comes out as a wraith. Allies that come out of the wraith, come out of your mist, become wraiths. So basically, what that means is that the enemy can't tell who that is. They don't know if it's a Malphite, a Zed, or a Soraka. And they gain 20% increased movement speed. Now take note that you will always be at the center of your mist, so they will always know where you are, just that they cannot select you. So what do I mean by they can't select you? So if Miss Fortune wants to use a Q on you, she can launch it at you because it's a skill shot, but if Zed wants to ult you, he cannot select you because he has to, of course, select you. And when you're in the mist, he cannot select you. So it's very useful for things like Zed ult, Twisted Fate's Gold card, Pantheon's W. When you're in this form, they cannot cast that on you because they cannot select you to attack. Now the exception to that is when you're in the mist and you attack somebody, you can be selected. As you guys can see, I'm in my mist form. I attack and I can be selected. So like that, in my mist form, I attack, I can be selected. Another way is if I go too close. If they're in my mist, they can't see me and they can't attack me. So 2 exceptions there. Now for the last one, the ult, it is global. As you guys can see, it'll launch all the way across the map. Here I'm going to launch it at my own base. Boom, it launches all the way across the map. So here are the 2 areas. One is the center area and one is the wide area. The center area is the damage area. So here I'm going to purposely miss this enemy. He's not going to take any damage. But here if I have him in my center area, boom, he takes damage. Very little damage on the target dummy, but yeah. So anywhere, including the side area, if you hit allies, they will get a shield like that. So very hard to see the shield on the target dummy because he has a lot of health, but he does get a shield. So the main use of this is mainly to get assists and to help your team out by giving them a shield across the map. So let's say I'm over here, there's a fight at the Rift Herald pit. I'm going to launch all the way to the Rift Herald pit, probably shield my entire team there and hopefully deal damage to some of the enemies. So the main purpose of it is for the shield. It's not really for the damage. Of course, if you can like get off a snipe and kill somebody, it would be cool, but it is mainly for the shield and not the damage. Alright, so now that we've covered all that, we can quickly jump into her build as well as her runes and her spells. So a lot of options actually when it comes to Senna's build, runes and spells. So here is the ADC Senna build, and there is also a support Senna build. I'm first gonna go over the ADC Senna build. So first up, we go for the Mana Mune. So Mana Mune, she doesn't really spam spells so much, but when you reach your Mana Mune, when you reach your Mirror Mana, that is a huge power spike for Senna, and probably in terms of items, one of her kind of few power spikes because she mainly spikes with souls and not really items. Actually, I forgot to cover something when it comes to the passive. Forgot to actually mention what the souls do, which is kind of oof. So basically each soul gives her 1 AD, and every 20 souls she gets increased attack range by 15, I believe. Let's actually quickly check that out before I say something wrong. So here, yeah, every 20 stacks she gets 15 attack range as well as 15% crit chance, and 35% of your excess crit chance will be converted into physical vamp. So you generally don't really get to the stage where it becomes physical vamp because to actually get to that stage, like 15%, even if you build the rapid fire cannon which gives you 25%, you will still take another like, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 20, 100 stacks. So you need to reach 100 stacks with rapid fire cannon to actually reach 100% crit rate. Then to get a further 35% vamp, you need another like until 160, I believe, 140, 160 to get actual vamp. So you don't really reach that stage. That's not really too important. But let's get back into the build. So you spike with the Mirror Mana. There you will get a lot of damage when you evolve it, actually. So next thing you go for is Edge of Night, but it depends on the matchup. You don't go for Edge of Night as your second item in every matchup. It sort of depends on if Edge of Night is useful. If Edge of Night isn't actually useful to you, you just build the Serrated Dirk, which is of course the component of the Edge of Night. You build this guy, the Serrated Dirk, which gives you 20 AD and 10 armor penetration. So that will of course give you a lot, not really a lot, but it increases your damage. And if you don't need the Edge of Night, like for example, if you're into a high poke comp, like into a Ziggs and a Varus, Edge of Night really isn't going to help you because it's really easy for them to remove your Edge of Night. So you only go for Edge of Night as maybe your second last or your last item. Instead, you just get the Serrated Dirk and move on with the build. Of course, if you're against a team with low poke and they're like Thresh, Blitz, Krang, Zed on the enemy team, go for Edge of Night because the Edge of Night is really going to help you defend against their spells and can save your life a lot of times. So after that, you go for boots. Generally, you generally go for Iony Boots of Lucidity on Senna because your cooldowns are all very long and you really need ability haste in order to cast your spells more often. And for the enchant, it kind of depends on the situation. As an ADC Senna, Stasis of course is viable. Quicksilver of course is viable. You can even go for Proto Belt if you need the dash, because she has no dash abilities. And also, if you want to be a bit more supportive, you can go for the Locket enchant or the Redemption enchant as well. So really, when it comes to Senna, you can pretty much go for any enchant. Can go too wrong, kind of depends on the situation. Then after Age of Night, you go for Sorelda's Grudge. Now in ADC Senna, I generally like to go for Sorelda's Grudge so I can slow people and they can do more. They can take more damage from me because they can't escape. Of course, it only works on your Q and your W already has a root, so generally it's kind of mainly useful on your Q and your ult if you actually happen to hit your ult on people, but mainly your Q. But when you get to later stages in the game, you can spam your Q a lot, as well as your Q having a 1 second cooldown reduction every time you attack people, so you can spam your Q quite a lot, and you can, as a result, slow people a lot. Now, of course, in this slot, in exchange for Sorelda's Grudge, you can also go for Moral Reminder if you need the Grievous Wounds, or if you think this Moral Reminder is a better pickup, just go for the Moral Reminder. It is also an option. Then, we have the Rapid Fire Cannon. So, Rapid Fire Cannon, the main use of it is mainly not really the attack speed and crit rate, but more of the passive where you get an increased range, because Senna's range, of course, will scale up throughout the match, and when you get to later on in the game, your attack range goes to really high amounts, and with the Rapid Fire Cannon, you can get a free auto attack off on anybody, and at late stages of the game, your auto attacks will hurt. So, Rapid Fire Cannon, really good pickup. Of course, the attack speed helpful for your auto attacks and also for your Q casting animation. And the crit rate just useful in general, of course. Lastly, we top it off with a GA, of course, mainly for the revive passive. So if we get instantly bursted, we can revive and, you know, get back to work. Because, of course, Senna, really squishy. A lot more squishy than a lot of other ADCs, like really paper thin, just gets destroyed by assassins, obviously. So GA really useful. Now, I'm gonna quickly cover some other items that Senna can build. One item Senna can build that I see some people building is Runan's Hurricane. Personally, I don't really like it, but I can see why. Like, splashing damage onto two other enemies, I guess, is useful, but I don't really go for it personally. As your lethality item, you can also go for other lethality items like Yomu's Ghostblade or Dustblade of Drakthar, but I just don't really see it. I just think Edge of Night is a lot more helpful in terms of your safety. Of course, if the Edge of Night isn't going to help you in the game, like against a Ziggs or a Varus kind of game, you can of course also go for Dustblade instead, but just I honestly most of the time will still go for Edge of Night. Now, another pickup we can get is the Black Cleaver, and actually some people actually go for Black Cleaver in the ADC build like this, but they go for like Black Cleaver as their second item, then they build Edge of Night later on. Could look something like this maybe, but I personally don't actually go for the Black Cleaver in my ADC build. I go for it only in my support build, which we'll cover very quickly later. But Black Cleaver really useful because of the Armor Shred, which you can trigger of course on your Q, which will of course strike through all the enemies. Aside from that, the rest of the items not really Senna items. So she generally goes for this. Quickly now, the support build it's similar to the ADC build, but with two big differences. You don't go for Edge of Night and you don't go for Mana Mute. Instead of going for those two, you go for the Black Cleaver and the Iceborne Gauntlet. Now this gives her a lot more utility and tankiness. So here you get a lot of health, AD, and ability haste. Of course, ability haste in this build really useful. As I said, Senna very reliant on her cooldowns, and mainly is the 5% armor shred. Of course, you can stack up to 25%. So if you spam your Q a couple of times, you could get decent armor shred there for your team to destroy the enemies, especially of course the physical damage dealers. Then the Black Cleaver for the utility. So here, of course, even more ability haste, and of course the main reason for this is the ice area, that when you hit like your Q onto them, they will have that like icy. I'm actually clicking on it. They will actually have the icy area around them, which does of course slow them. So this is gonna be really useful for just Senna's team to just catch up to them. Basically, this is kind of like a substitute for Sorelda's Grudge, because in this build, as support, you generally go for Moral Reminder. Of course, you can still go for Sorelda's if you want, but personally, I think as support, Moral Reminder is more important. Now, onto the runes. There's basically two keystone runes she can take. Most of the time, I think Grasp of the Undying is just a better rune. Even though she is ranged and she only benefits from half of its effects. However, she really doesn't have a better rune. So basically, when in combat, after like 4 seconds, your next attack will be empowered, and when you auto them, you will do bonus magic damage, heal you, and permanently increase your health. Increasing your health not really important. The bonus damage and heal kind of is what we're looking at. Of course, the alternative to that is Fleet Foot, where we don't take Conqueror because she attacks way too slow to stack up Conqueror, a lot like Jin. So what Fleet does is, of course, it basically gives you a heal and movement speed when you stack it to the max. Now, you only take this in matchups where it's a hard lane matchup where you're gonna get poked a lot, where you're gonna get harassed a lot, like against Caitlyn, Varus, you know, that kind of matchup. Then you take Fleet to survive the lane. If not, you would always go for Grasp. Second one, you always go for Gathering Storm. Basically, Brutal does nothing. Hunter Vampirism is a good option, but Gathering Storm, in my opinion, is just the best option for Senna because she does no damage in the early game anyway. It scales really well with her into the late game. Now, second one, of course, Bone Plating or Hunter Titan as usual, depending on whether you're up against more burst or more CC. If you're up against both, of course, the choice is up to you. Sweet Tooth, really good option for your third one. If you're playing like more of support Senna, you could go for Mana Flow Ban instead, or even Hunter Genius instead for, you know, faster cooldowns. But in general, even as support, a Sweet Tooth probably will come in handy from time to time whenever you need to take the Honey Fruit. For your spells, obviously you can take Flash, and then you go for Heal or Barret as usual. But on Senna, especially for playing support Senna, Exhaust is also a very good option. So, pretty much it for her items, runes, and spells. Now we can move on to our gameplay. Alright, so now on to the gameplay. And as usual, if you guys enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And any questions can put down in the comments below, and I will, of course, respond to them. And anyways, apologies, this is another pretty long video like the Kale one. Like these videos are pretty long because it kind of takes a long time to explain exactly what their like passive and abilities do, kind of thing. Also, we've been kind of having a bit of a lack of content recently. Now, obviously, in a couple days' time, patch 3.0 will be coming out on the 19th of January, as they have announced. So, it's gonna be pretty cool. Gonna really get pretty fresh content. So, we'll see what we can do when the patch comes out and see what kind of changes there are. I'm expecting quite a lot of changes, especially champion changes. It's been like nearly like 3 weeks plus, I think nearly a month. I think it's gonna be like a month when they actually patch over to 3.0. So we've been on 2.6a, I think, for like a month, almost a month now. So pretty nice to, you know, shake up the meta a little bit, you know, have a little bit of fresh content, new champions, etc. Here Tresh gets caught by the Lux, and I follow up. So here, this lane is pretty simple. Obviously, Lux is building AP. She's taking the CS. I'm playing. You can either call this support Senna or ADC Senna with a farming for support. Doesn't really matter how you want to look at it. Pretty much, the conclusion is the same. That Lux farms, I don't. Lux hits the ignite, and I auto attack to get the first blood. Unfortunately, Jinx kills Lux and gets a reset. Although I'm actually doing very decent damage to her. Unfortunately, I get rooted by her traps. If not, I could have actually possibly gotten a double kill there. But yeah, so the basic concept is Lux takes farm, Senna doesn't. I just take souls, and Lux just farms up and builds AP. So now, of course, when Lux isn't around, I will take the farm. I won't just let the minions die to like my minions. I will take the farm, but hopefully that doesn't happen too often. And also, if like I'm in a lane by myself and no one else is around, I will take the farm. So of course, you want to avoid taking farm as much as possible so you can get more souls. But if no one else can take farm, you of course should take farm. It's better to take the farm and not get souls than to just waste the gold and XP. So yeah. Now, I did mention this briefly in the intro, but I rarely ever get a chance to play Senna, especially in ranked, because the people that I play with, normally duo with, I normally duo with a support. You guys know we have a Nami, pretty much one trick who always plays Nami, and Nami taking farm doesn't really make too much sense because she can't actually build AP, and Nami isn't really farm dependent. So I gotta play, you know, with supports that can take farm. So here, you know, we have a Lux player, so Lux can take the farm, and I can just take the souls. So, and Lux Senna is actually a pretty nasty lane as well. A lot of CC. So if I hit my root, Lux can hit her root as well, and the vice versa. If she hits her Q, I can hit my W. So if they get caught, they're gonna be caught for a pretty long time. Especially if we catch like Jinx, pretty much that should be a guaranteed kill. Now, Senna is of course very weak in the early stages of the game, but that does not mean that you should be playing very passive. Of course, depending on what kind of lane you are against. Here I'm against a Jinx, who isn't really strong in the early game as well. I'm up against a Thresh. Now, Thresh of course is a threat throughout the game, but Jinx isn't really too high of a threat. Of course, unless we get just chain CC by Thresh. Here we, as you guys can see, we pull up the combo where we chain CC him and just destroy him basically. So of course, unless I like get hooked by Thresh, I get flayed by Thresh, and I get chompers by Jinx, then of course I probably will die. But other than that, I shouldn't really die to Jinx. Now there Xin Zhao came in, and as you guys can see, I used my E to escape, but I did make a little bit of a small mistake there, which is I gave him an auto attack, which of course does expose myself, because of course auto attacking when you're in your E does of course cause you to be revealed. So obviously I made a boo-boo there. Fortunately, he didn't take advantage of it, but yeah, that is obviously a mistake on my part. But we won't be seeing any more of that in the game, at least hopefully. So here we got a Mountain Dragon fight. So here Pantheon goes in. Of course, I'm just going to stay in the backline like any other ADC and just auto attack whoever I can, hit my Q and W on whoever I can. Here we have a Renekton in the backline. We're just going to get rid of him. Veigar stepping up, and I guess our jungler doesn't have smite because he didn't smite. So here, entire enemy team coming in. Very nice ult by the Lux. And here Xin Zhao has his ult, so I pretty much can't really actually damage him. So just hovering around trying not to die to him. And here Jinx gets caught, a 1v3, and of course Jinx dies. So really good start for not only myself but also my team. My team really won that dragon fight in a very decisive manner, and we of course also secured the dragon. So really nice by my team. Now I'm going to talk briefly about some soul breakpoints for Senna herself. So basically at about 40 souls is where you actually become like not too weak. Like at 20 souls you're still pretty weak, at 40 souls you become not too weak, at 60 souls pretty much you become like the same standard as a normal ADC. Of course by that point in time you also be pretty late in the game, you also would have items, etc. But the only reason why I can play a little bit more aggressive in this laning phase is just because it's against a Jinx who can't really do too much to me. But against majority of other ADCs, even like against Vayne, like I would say Senna is pretty weak against majority of ADCs. Just thankfully Jinx is pretty weak in the early game as well. Like if I was against even like a Kai'Sa, I would be in trouble. If I was against a Caitlyn, I'll be in big trouble. And like Misfortune will be a hard lane for me. But thankfully this lane was pretty nice, honestly. This lane was pretty nice. So that's why I can play a little bit more aggressive. So know your champion and know your lane matchup. So Senna normally is a weak champion, but in this game I have a Lux with me. So our kill potential is very high because of our CC. So we can't afford to play aggressive against Jinx and Thresh. And they have to respect us. If not, we can of course just kill them, as we have actually done multiple times in the lane. So here, as I've mentioned before, if Lux isn't around, or if no one else is around, I'm going to be taking the farm, because no point letting the farm die, just die and trying to get souls, because of course souls aren't actually guaranteed either. So best to just take the farm and, you know, get closer to your items, particularly if you're playing ADC, Senna, because you do have some expensive items to be bought. So here we got like one wave. Here we're going to just get another wave. Okay, so here we hit the snare onto the Jinx, and we can go up for a Q auto. A really nice Lux ult, which of course allows me to flash in. Nice barrier by the Jinx to buy time. And Thresh happened to be in the bush, so pretty much I got baited. Oh, excuse me. Pretty much I got baited into flashing onto the Jinx. I got baited technically by my own Lux, not really by the Jinx, because obviously Jinx was not intending to get hit by the Lux ultimate, I would presume. Alright, so here we have another dragon fight. Not really a dragon fight, but kind of like just a team fight in the river. Here I'm just coming off from the back. But actually, I'm not coming off from the back. This is Lux. What am I even talking about? I'm dead. I died in the previous exchange of getting baited by the Jinx. And I was wondering why I was firing off Lux spells as a Senna. But obviously here I'm focusing on the Lux. So here I've reconvened with the Lux. Now we're going to be taking a look at me. I get hit by Thresh Hook, doesn't really matter. I also managed to return the favor and hit my snare onto the two of them. And we just pretty much just defend the tower. Now, defending the tower is slightly risky because it's 3v2 and they can dive us, but we know it all worked out fine. Here, Thresh pretty much gets one shot by the combo again by me and Lux. Of course, Lux uses her full burst combo combined together with my WQ auto. Pretty much just nice to kill Thresh. I think that's the third time we hit the combo on the Thresh, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Thresh not having the best game against us. Here, Jinx finds herself in a 3v1 dive. Now, Jack seems very reluctant to go in, so I end up tanking the tower aggro for the team. Doesn't really matter because I end up taking pretty much only one tower shot. She instantly evaporated from the three of us and our damage. So here we have the Mountain Dragon, not Mountain Dragon, the Cloud Dragon up, of course. So here we're going to go for the Cloud Dragon. Xin Zhao, of course, is in the vicinity and he is kind of passing towards the area. So is the Thresh. Of course, we're going to vacate the premises so we don't simply get destroyed by the Thresh hook. Here I'm trying to ult to give my team a shield as well as do some damage, but Renekton kind of diving me in the backline, so I'm forced to sort of get zoned away from the fight. He ignites me and I take the fruit with the Grievous wounds active. Of course, could have waited a second or so there for the wounds to expire, but I kind of needed to rejoin the fight pretty urgently. Here Jinx is 1-on-1 against Pantheon. I decide that it's not worth to help the Pantheon. Instead I should help the Akshan because Pantheon should be able to kill Jinx 1v1 or at least not die to her. So with my help, Akshan manages to actually kill the Renekton, and a little bit of a troll moment there. I kind of thought the Lux ult was from the enemy team, so I actually cancelled my recall to sidestep the Lux ult. But it turns out that was just my lane partner, so nothing too interesting to see there. But yeah, so here we get the Edge of Night because in this case, honestly, not a lot of poke that can destroy my Edge of Night. Of course, we have the Jinx rockets, but what we could protect with the Edge of Night is a Xin Zhao engage, Thresh Flay, Thresh Hook, Veigar Cage, and like Veigar's main abilities. Like Veigar in late game with his main abilities can probably just one-shot me anyways. So really good pickup, a very good game to pick up the Edge of Night. So really good pickup in general for me. Here, entire enemy team is coming onto my team. Very nice hit. We hit the combo onto the Xin Zhao, me and the Lux. Our combo is just, we hit the combo so many times this game, we just destroy everybody. Here I actually end up ulting for the damage because I don't actually have enough DPS to kill the Thresh. I decided to switch targets over to the Jinx, but Lux actually does manage to hit the Thresh, and we do actually manage to finish off the kill onto the Thresh himself. So really nice. With me and Lux. As you can see, we have a healthy amount of souls. We have the evolved Mirror Mana, so we're in a pretty strong spot at the moment. 6, 1, and 12. 100% KP at the moment. Our team is 18 kills. We're involved in every single one of them. So we're doing really good, having a very great game. And if you guys notice, this game I actually opted for Proto Belt instead of something like a Zhonya's. Now the reason why I don't opt for the Zhonya's is Zhonya's isn't really going to help me too much in this game. There isn't really an assassin who can instantly burst me. Whereas with the Proto Belt, I can Proto Belt away, like when Veigar setting up his cage, I can Proto Belt away from Xin Zhao to prevent him from engaging on me. Same goes for Renekton, and I can Proto Belt away from Thresh to avoid his Flay or his hook. So pretty much Proto Belt in this game, like just giving me that small dash gives so much value. So here I just wait for Lux to come in. I actually pick up 5 souls from that huge minion wave, which is pretty huge if I do say so myself. So very nice. Now, of course, having a mana immune before you evolve it. Of course, now I've evolved it, but before you evolve it, you want to, of course, spam your spells as much as possible, particularly your E when you're walking towards the lane. So yeah. Now here I actually spot the 3 people on enemy team rotating up. So here I'm just trying to be a little bit cautious. So here, Lux kind of pushing by herself. We try to go onto the Xin Zhao. We managed to force out Xin Zhao ultimate, which is pretty huge. And he takes the lantern to safety. So here we're going to be a bit sneaky and sort of set up a trap. Before we can get in the bush, Xin Zhao walks straight into us. And we're going to hit the combo again onto the Xin Zhao for the kill. So Thresh gets hit by the combo 3 times. Xin Zhao, I believe this is his 2nd time already. I just caught the combo, but basically it's just me and Lux all in onto whoever it is that we hit with the snare. So here I can't really reach the fight. I'm just going to help my team by launching my ultimate for the shield. They're in a dive. Jax uses the stasis really well to, of course, reset the tower aggro. I managed to pick up a kill. Akshan picks up a double. And I end up tanking tower. So I do have to forfeit the 2 souls under the tower because I cannot, of course, pick it up with the tower there. So here, Renekton is at top lane, and we don't really know where Xin Zhao has went. But Pantheon is pushing down the bot lane, so I thought I would just, of course, push out the mid lane, because we know Renekton is in top. Now we know Xin Zhao is at the bot lane, so the rest of the enemy team is dead. So this is a free mid lane tier 2 for my team. Pick up the mid lane tier 2. And we're going to be a bit greedy here by pushing in onto the inhibitor and seeing what we can get. Xin Zhao turns up the party. He manages to engage onto me before my E manages to trigger. Here, Proto Belt coming into play. I root him. With the help of Pantheon and Akshan, I managed to flash out and survive using all of my safety tools. My E, my Proto Belt, my flash, and narrowly missing getting hit by the Jinx rocket. So a little bit of luck there. Of course, he's popping the heal as well. You're literally using every tool at my disposal to escape. Now, we picked up the Sorello's Grudge, so we will be having pretty good slows across the board on all of the enemy team. Now, I will say that even though your W roots, but it does take a second for the root to actually occur, so in that time, they're also slowed. So, actually, also, your W does benefit from the Sorello's Grudge quite a bit. So here we're going to actually pick up the Ocean Dragon, or at least attempt to pick up the Ocean Dragon. The Renekton tries some funny business, and I'm going to just hit all my stuff onto the Renekton. Renekton dies to Pantheon, and I try to ult for the damage and kill the Jinx, but Jinx actually lives with a relatively decent amount of health. So here, my team just going to pick up the mid wave. People are backing. I'm waiting for Lux here to pick up the mid wave. And of course, we're just going to try to collect some souls. So here we're at over 60 souls, 67, 68. So we add 60 souls with 3 completed items. We are at a very strong spot, 8, 1, and 16 as well. We're doing very well this game. So here I'm actually just pinging for Baron because my team is 15k gold ahead up on the new team. We have 4 towers where they have none. We have 3 dragons, they have none. So we're really, technically this game is pretty stompy if you really think about it. This game is pretty stompy, but honestly when I was playing the game, didn't really feel like I was stomping anyone. Maybe because I was playing Senna, who's a very late game character, so really didn't feel like I was stomping anyone. So here, there I back off from the Jinx before I get hit by the hook and the chompers. Here I'm just, of course, staying at a safe distance, attacking whoever I can, that being the Thresh. No point attacking Xin Zhao when he has his ult up, but when it goes down, we pretty much eviscerate him. So here, entire enemy team is dead aside from the Renekton and the Veigar. So here, we have Baron buff. So we're actually going to push the bot lane with our Baron buff. Alright, so here we pick up the bot lane tower. We can clearly see the Renekton and the Veigar are both in mid lane trying to stop the Jax from pushing. So here I ult to help the Jax out a little bit. And then I'm going to move on to, of course, going for the inhibitor. With the Baron minions, going to be really easy to take the inhibitor quickly. Veigar and Renekton don't actually stop us. By the time they come over, they end up just getting distracted by us and allowing us to pick up the mid inhib as well. With the Jax, of course, picking up that mid inhib. And then we have our 2 huge minion waves. You can actually just simply proceed to just simply end the game. So very nice game on Senna. We did really well. Nearly 100% kill participation by the end of it. Of course, we get an S rating for that, and as usual, I'll leave you guys with the stats. So thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.